Good day, everyone. I am Gabriel King, presenting to you my output on the ethics of the apparent crab mentality among Filipinos. To start off, Ninochka Rosca, a Filipino feminist, author, and human rights activist, invented the term crab mentality. This concept is typically depicted by the expression, "If I can't have it, then neither can you." It alludes to a pot of crabs that could simply escape, but rather clawed one another in the futile king of the hill battle. Considering that jealousy is at the root of this behavior, it is not really unreasonable to think of crab mentality as a natural aspect of being alive. A person with a crab mentality is all too confident about themselves and act as if they know just about anything. They are full of hope and optimism for themselves, but full of negative energy for others and have no sense of empathy. They often criticize their colleagues for their shortcomings instead of empowering them and always see them as a competitive rivalry. Finally, they are in denial that they have a crab mentality, which is a type of arrogance. The behaviors of those who drag down and detest someone else instead of assisting them to progress in life or accomplish their aspirations are regarded to be the factor in the spread of this social illness. Some people with this trait are unable to cope with their deception and jealousy, which leads them to committing actions that may have negative consequences for the person they are envious of, such as jeopardizing the dignity, legitimacy, and social status of this certain individual. Filipinos are recognized for their pakikisama characteristic, which they have prized almost from the country's founding and has kept them united. It is defined as the Filipino natural propensity to unite one's will with that of others in a group with a feeling of community. However, crab mentality is still prevalent among Filipinos, particularly when they are insecure. They prefer to spend their time criticizing and taunting rather than doing things that could help others prosper, which is a strategy for diverting people's attention away from their own shortcomings by focusing on the shortcomings of others. Another attribute that may contribute to the Filipinos' crab mentality is their colonial mindset, which stems from their country's lengthy colonial history, particularly under the Spaniards. Numerous characteristics such as the manana habit, the bahala na mentality have affected them since then. According to ethical egoism, an individual is morally obligated to act in a certain way if and only if it substantially benefits them and maximizes their ego. It is a normative philosophy that praises and favors one course of behavior or intention while condemning another. It has two classifications, being individual ethical egoism, in which an individual must be focused on their own aspirations, and universal ethical egoism, where everyone acts in their own self-interest. Ethical egoism is the philosophy that an individual is, as mentioned, morally obligated to act upon whatever will fulfill their self-interests and happiness. It is also characterized as a euphoric ethical perspective, since the aim of an ethical living is regarded as satisfaction or enjoyment. It does not state, however, that an individual's only duty is to be concerned about their own only, since this philosophy only follows one ultimate principle of conduct, which is the principle of self-interest. Furthermore, it does not imply that a person should refrain from doing actions that may benefit others in achieving their own interests, and there may be instances where one's own interests may overlap with another's, implying that helping oneself would also benefit others, as ethical egoism endorses. Crab mentality and ethical egoism are comparable in such a way that they each have the idea that everything that they are doing should serve their own self-interest, which is why crab mentality could be argued that it would not be a negative attitude after all. People who have a crab mentality mindset, as previously mentioned, are those who feel insecure about themselves, which is why they feel the need to bring others down with them, because they have the sense that others cannot have what they personally do not have as well. It could be reasoned out that it is not wrong, since what they are doing is something that they are obligated to do in order to benefit themselves and their self-interest. Ethical egoism, on the other hand, does not necessarily state that a person must be concerned for whatever may benefit another person's own interests, unless it also eventually benefits their own as well. It is understandable that pursuing one's aspirations requires an immense amount of perseverance and dedication in order to achieve them. It may be easily misinterpreted, however, by those that people believe that crab mentality is not wrong since people can and should do whatever they please to do to satisfy their pleasures and goals in life. It is questioned in this situation that crab mentality will allow someone to purposefully bring people down out of selfishness, which is opposed by ethical egoism, so that they might thrive more than others or guarantee that others do not succeed, which should be ethically incorrect. Despite ethical egoism being equated with selflessness, it is far from that since it is often in one's self-interest to help others and avoid harm. And as mentioned, ethical egoism actually encourages that an individual do actions that do not only satisfy their own self-interest but also others. And the crab mentality, on the other hand, while it does let individuals do actions that benefit them, it involves purposely bringing other people down. And it may be argued that the crab mentality mindset, even though a person perceives that what they are doing is in their best interest, it is actually not in the long run since it affects them and the people around them. And these are actions that are done not that aren't done surely because they're done out of insecurity, of jealousy, and the like. And comparing it to crab mentality in the crabs itself, where the term originates from, these actions are executed out of habit to ensure a collective demise. Furthermore, ethical egoism must not hinder or prevent other individuals from pursuing their interests. Thus, an individual may only do the action that they are morally obligated to do and they perceive beneficial if it does not affect others negatively. Now, individuals with the crab mentality may be found anywhere like social media, even in the news, even on TV, on everywhere. And they're constantly occupied bashing and trash talking one another rather than empowering each other regarding their accomplishments and embracing them. And since it does not encourage unity, modesty, or personal accountability, this apparent negative attitude is one of the primary reasons why the Philippines isn't prospering. And to get rid of it, a person must start thinking and acting out of concern with the people around them and work collaboratively with them. And if this happens, Filipinos may become visionary leaders if they focus on their attention on this blind spot that many individuals consider is such a small thing, but is actually a bigger thing that they realize. If people in smaller groups bring down each other already, what more in bigger firms, organizations, which just goes to show its domino effect among Filipinos, especially with how apparent it is among them. And these disparities might be dangerous to a civilization or society because people end up pulling each other down like crabs rather than helping each other prosper and succeeding in life, which will eventually make their nation prosper as well. And the crab mentality is said to be prevalent in today's firms, organizations, and the like with a high level of competitiveness. And these aforementioned pessimists also feel that the only way to advance is to drag people down with them. And contrary to popular belief, many people are unable to advance in life because they don't even have a goal in life. They also go to considerable efforts to undermine or disturb people in position of power in society. Now, despite its close resemblance to ethical egoism, crab mentality is a destructive worldview that sabotages the path to a prosperous nation as a whole. People have a moral duty to act in ways that enhance their own personal interests, but never in ways that will affect other people. Because according to ethical egoism, you can only do actions that will allow you to prosper if it does not affect the people around you. With that, I conclude my presentation on the ethics of the apparent crab mentality among Filipinos. Thank you so much for listening.